Jamie Benn is having his best month of the season. Can he continue it tonight against the Arizona Coyotes? And Tyler Seguin is a game-time decision. Let's jump into it next on Locked On Stars.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan and play-by-play voice of the Chippewa Steel. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Jamie Benn is having an incredible month of March. Just how good it is, I will tell you in just a bit. Jani Hakanpaa is now day-to-day with a lower body injury, but Tyler Seguin is a game-time decision heading into tonight's Game 3 of a 5-game homestand against the Arizona Coyotes. A lot of good stuff to get into on today's episode of Locked On Stars. Appreciate all you everydayers out there rocking along with us, riding that emotional roller coaster, which has been the Dallas Stars season. Hit that notification bell. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. So I wanted to take a look at this, and I did some research, and Jamie Benn has been heating up in the month of March. He's on a tear recently, which is coming at a great time for the Dallas Stars. He's found a home with Wyatt, Johnston, and Logan Stankoven, who got brought up towards the end of February, and they haven't looked back. Stankoven hasn't produced in terms of points here recently, but he's still been a very, very great contributor in the defensive zone and on the attack. Let's not get it wrong, but Jamie Benn has turned himself into a playmaker here over the last month or so. But in the first 7 games here of the month of March, he has 10 points, 3 goals, and 7 assists. That is tied for the team lead with, of course, his line mate Wyatt Johnston. And we've been praising Johnston pretty much the past 2 weeks, and that's really overshadowed what Jamie Benn has done to some degree. So wanted to show the captain some love here. In the month of March, 10 points in 7 games. That's the most points he's had in a month this season, and that's about half the amount of games he's played in most months. February, he played 13. He just had 6 points. Go to January, he had 6. December was his one of his better months, and he had 8. November, where he played 14, he had 9 points. That was the previous season high. It's also a season high in goals in a month. Already 3 goals in the month of March, and 3 of them are power play goals. More than 70% of his power play goals this season have come in the month of March. All of them here in the month have been on the power play, including 3 assists on the power play. So he's been very, very productive with the man advantage. And I've griped about him a bit on the power play unit 1. But I will say, I mentioned they were not putting him in the right areas to succeed. They had him on the flank, and he was shooting from the left dot, which he is not going to thrive in. They've started to move him closer to the net, to the bottom of the circles, where he can thrive. He can use his big frame. He can get his stick on pucks, and he can facilitate from there instead of being on the flank, where he is not going to be as deadly. He's not going to be as lethal as a weapon for the Dallas Stars when he's kind of on that flank, but they've moved him into the slot area where he can do his damage. And we've already seen it here this season, albeit he scored the absolute laser of a wrist shot against LA on the weekend, just screaming down the left wing, which we've seen before in his career, but that's just not consistently what Jamie Benn does on a night in and night basis. But I've mentioned here recently, he's playing some of his best hockey since Stankoven got called up. He really struggled in terms of scoring in the middle of the year, just could not find a perfect home. Pete DeBoer was trying to marry him with some others, and it wasn't just quite working, unfortunately, but he's really hit his stride here, especially in the month of March. And you look at the amount of time he's played, just over 15 minutes, which is a bit higher than his average this season. I like to think a lot of that is because Wyatt Johnston's playing a lot more. Wyatt's played over 17 minutes a game in the month of March. So Jamie Benn has reaped some of the benefits of that, but he's also shooting the puck more. 18 shots so far in the month, which is about 3 a game. He was only averaging about 2 a game in previous months. So he's getting more opportunities, and he's putting the puck on net more. And you look at his expected goals percentage has been way up this month, way a bit of an increase from his season average. And taking a look at some of his game scores via hockey stat cards, his average is about 0.66 this season in terms of game score. And if you date it back to when Stankoven got called up, here are some of his top games: 1.8, 1.63, 5.73, and that crazy game against San Jose, 1.57 against the Ducks. You got 1.08 against LA last Saturday. And then you have a few scores below 1 against the Devils, Panthers, and Kings once again. But he's becoming a factor, especially on the power play, which is a great sign because he did a ton of damage last year on special teams, and it hasn't quite been the same consistency this year, but he's certainly starting to pick it up. And I think the power play in general has picked it up with Miro playing better down the stretch. He has 8 points in the month, 8 assists. He's been much better post All-Star break. And if you want to date it back to just post All-Star break in general, if you look before the All-Star break, Ben had 29 points in 49 games. Post All-Star break, Jamie Benn has been much more productive, and in 20 games this since All-Star break, 16 points, 4 goals, and 12 assists. It's not just goal scoring; he's facilitating because Wyatt Johnston has scored a ton, 12 goals since All-Star break. So he's turned himself into a bit of a playmaker, and it only means great things moving forward for the Dallas Stars. If he's rolling and his line in general is going, that is a great sign. And plus, he doesn't have to carry the offensive load. For years, it was on him and Seguin to carry the team offensively. And to some degree, they did, because Seguin and Benn were the top 2 scorers for the Stars for, I want to say, 6 years straight. And it wasn't it wasn't to superstar level, so to speak. So people had issues with it because he was making so much money. And I understand that, but there wasn't a lot of great pieces or enough pieces around them to do some of the damage you would hope to see. And he's not that type of player. He's not a McDavid where he can do it himself. He could for a few years. He was one of the best power forwards in the game. That's not his style and not the way he's going to be effective today. And adding Wyatt Johnston and Stankoven, who can play that Batman role, who can shoulder some of the offensive load because they're young, they're scrappy, and just allow Jamie to do what he does best. And that's be an intimidator and go to work in front of the net. Be physical, be hard on the forecheck, and get to the front of the net. And good things happen. And it certainly has shown here in the month of March. 10 points in the month, just through 7 games. Hopefully you can keep that up heading into tonight against the Arizona Coyotes. His most points in a month already this season. And if he continues this hot streak moving forward, he will be a valuable asset come playoff time, hopefully, along with his line, who has been the best for the Dallas Stars. They've been the top line the past few weeks. Tyler Seguin could come back tonight. He is a game-time decision. Jani Hakanpaa is day-to-day with a lower body injury we learned yesterday. So how does that affect the Stars lineup heading into tonight against the Coyotes? We'll touch on that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, that's what brings home the winning trophy and is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Hey, Stars fans, the Locked On Sports Today MLB season preview is tonight at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Be sure to check it out. Put it on your calendar for later tonight. Be the first to get local insight from the MLB experts of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is on YouTube. It is also on Amazon Fire TV channels app. Only a few days away. I want to say about 8 days away from opening day for the Texas Rangers, which is pretty crazy. Be sure to show some love to Bryce as well over at Locked On Rangers. He does a phenomenal job. So coming out of Dallas Stars practice yesterday, Jani Hakanpaa is injured and ruled day-to-day with a lower body injury. So we may get to see Nils Lundkvist tonight, who I've been begging for recently. If you have been taking in every episode for the last, 2 weeks, trying to find a way, lobbying to get Nils Lundkvist back in the lineup. If he is in tonight, you're probably going to see the top two pairings stay the same. Thomas Harley with Miro Heiskanen and Esa Lindell, along with Chris Tanev. And then with Hakanpaa out, you reunites Ryan Suter and Nils Lundkvist, who in their limited time together this season have been really strong in terms of expected goals against. They rank in the top 3 among Dallas Stars defensive pairings, and they do have a little bit of juice in them. Nils hasn't been lights out in terms of production offensively, but in his short time this season playing every day, he's been very valuable, and he adds another layer, especially offensively, because he's mobile and he's not afraid to jump up in the play. He's very instinctual and I'm going to go. And I think the Stars can use some of that in their game, like Thomas Harley, who is full go all the time when the puck is on his stick. And Miro's a bit more conscious and aware of his responsibility, so to speak. And this is not giving a shot to Harley, because he's very, very reliable defensively, but he just thinks the game a bit different. When Harley has the puck on his stick, I'm going to score. I'm going to score. And he has 15 goals this season, which is top 3 amongst defensemen in the NHL this season, where Miro is not as giddy up and go when the puck is on his stick. He wants to facilitate a bit more. And Nils has some of that Harley instinctual offensive, I guess, intuition in his game, which I think is great. But the more intriguing storyline coming out of practice is Tyler Seguin. He is designated as a game time decision. He's missed almost a month. We're about coming up on a month with his injury, and it would be a great sign for Matt Duchene and Mason Marchment if Tyler Seguin rejoins the lineup. Of course, I've documented it pretty heavily, especially last week, about Seguin's season and how it's affected Matt Duchene Matt Duchene without him in the lineup. That line just has not had the firepower this season. And when Seguin's been in the lineup, it was the best line for the Dallas Stars this season, the most consistent at least. So we'll get some word on Tyler Seguin before tonight's game, but he did participate in line rushes, which was a good sign. So all things are pointing towards him getting back into the lineup. But of course, he is a game time decision. So we'll see how that goes. And just some other Dallas Stars news that has popped up in recent weeks that I haven't really gotten a great chance to jump into because of all the craziness that has been with the Dallas Stars. Recently, the Stars did sign Tristan Bertucci to a 3-year entry-level contract, just 18 years old. He's a defenseman who has 41 points in 56 games with the Flint Firebirds of the Ontario Hockey League. And then yesterday, the Stars signed Luke Chris to an entry-level contract, who played with Providence this season. 2-year entry-level contract, 17 points as a defenseman for the Friars. So those are some contracts that have popped up recently for the Dallas Stars. Not going to have a huge effect on the Dallas Stars in the near future, but figured I would go over some of the housekeeping stuff with the Dallas Stars recently. There has been a ton going on, especially last week with a few of the disappointing efforts, namely against Florida in that third period, and then New Jersey on Thursday night in that 6-2 slashing from the Devils. But they're going to be well rested here this evening. Had, 3 days off for a long time, for the first time in a long time, probably since All-Star break. The Dallas Stars have had 3 consecutive days off, and they pick it back up tonight against the Arizona Coyotes. Stars looking to make it 2 in a row here at the American Airlines Center. Let's preview the Coyotes in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is obsessed with saving you money on your ticket purchase. You want to go to the next Stars game? You want to go to the Stars game tonight? You want to go to opening day, upcoming for the Texas Rangers, March Madness, you name it, theaters, comedy shows, you name it, they have it at Game Time. It's the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you even check out. You can buy tickets in 2 taps. It is the best place to buy tickets. Use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. You can find exclusive flash deals and sponsor deals on tickets for all of those sporting events I mentioned at the top. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. That's Locked On. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Be sure to check out the hometown broadcast tonight with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Stars to hear Bogorod and Daryl Ray. Josh and Razor on the call as always tonight as the Stars get ready to take on the Arizona Coyotes. Man, Arizona was off to a heck of a start to begin the season. And unfortunately, they went into a horrendous spin in the month of January, and it leaked into February as well. 28, 35, and 5. They have 61 points in 68 games this season, but they were comfortably in a playoff spot for the first 3 or 4 months of the year. They were getting incredible net minding from Connor Ingram. He's still been really good. A .910 save percentage and a 2.81 goals against average in 40 starts this season. Their backup Vejmelka, who the Stars have faced quite a bit this year, his numbers are a bit worse at .897 and 3.37. He is certainly not giving them the better of starts in the net, but they're young and talented with some really, really good veteran presence. But of course, they weren't able to keep it up for long enough this season, and they have comfortably fallen out of a playoff spot. They're coming off a loss at the hands, or excuse me, not a loss, a win over the New Jersey Devils, 4-1 over New Jersey. Hopefully the Stars, or I should say, would have been nice if the Stars could have done that to New Jersey, but that was just not the case. Clayton Keller, he's phenomenal, 59 points in 64 games. He's had a knack for scoring on the Stars this in his young career. I feel like I feel like he always finds a way to pot one, but they're 6-3-1 in their last 10, playing a bit better. Stars won 4-3 in overtime in their first meeting back in November. Their power play's pretty good, just above league average. They're 22%. Penalty kill's not very good at 76%, which is 26th in the NHL. They're really bad on the dots. They're the worst in the NHL at 45%. And the Stars, of course, are one of the best. They have been one of the best. So they'll have an advantage on the dots, which I think is huge, especially come this time and in the playoffs. So many goals are scored right off of draws, and we've seen a lot of it lately. The Stars have benefited from it, and the Stars' opponents have benefited from it. Just winning draws and getting pucks on net because there's so much traffic, and the old cliches rear their head. And it's true. They're below average in goals scored and goals against. They just don't score enough, and they don't get more consistent defense on most nights, but they have some good players on the back end. Jersey, who's a great young player, more offensively gifted, 33 points in 62 games, but they do have some guys on the back end that are talented. Doesn't mean it always plays out correctly, but they got some good veterans mixed in there too, like Bukestad, who's having a great year, 17 goals on the season, and you mix that in there with guys like Zucker and Kesselring on the back end too. There are some guys that are going to be some good players in the years to come, but it certainly has not come together this season. Bukestad is day to day, and he'll be a game time decision tonight against the Stars. So we'll see if he's in the lineup, but the Stars should be able to hopefully comfortably play a really solid game against Arizona. A great bounce back against LA on the weekend. Can they keep that momentum right into tonight after a few days rest, hoping to see a real energetic game? And they've gotten off to some really hot starts lately. I mean, they've scored first their last 3, which was something they didn't do a ton of at the beginning of the year. And they got comfortable playing from behind, and they had to be, because they're one of the best teams when trailing this season in terms of at least picking up wins. But playing ahead is always better. They're starting to find the back of the net early and get out to some leads, but that hasn't all been sunshine and rainbows this season. They have given up their fair share of of advantages this season. But not a whole lot to report on this one, to be completely honest. Just hoping for a strong game for Dallas. Wyatt just continues to be an absolute beast. Has 4 goals in his last 5. Robertson has 7 points in his last 5. If you're looking for some hot hands for Arizona, Keller has 4 in his last 5, and Schmaltz has 8 points in his last 5 games. So those are some head-to-head numbers between the Stars and Coyotes tonight on a Wednesday at the American Airlines Center. Hope everybody's having a wonderful week so far. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. The channel has grown tremendously in the last 2 months or so. We're almost to 2,300 subscribers, which is great, we have been pumping that number up. Great response yesterday on yesterday's episode on Scott Wedgwood or Jake Ottinger. If the playoffs started today, who would you start? Check that out from yesterday if you have not, and would love to hear your take on the matter. I think there are a lot of interesting ways you can go about that, and I think it's a good question to ask. It was kind of the burning question of yesterday, and I don't know if the Stars can go wrong necessarily, but it's to each its own. Everybody's going to have a different take on that. Okay, we'll break down the game tomorrow. We'll talk about it. Have a live reaction per usual. Just 1 of 3 games on the night, so hopefully the Stars can pick up a win and just continue to keep pace in the Central Division with Winnipeg and Colorado just finding ways to win recently. Stars have to keep up, and they don't have any games in hand. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your wonderful Wednesday. I hope it's a wonderful time wherever you may be. Hopefully the weather's fantastic. Hopefully you can get outside. It's springtime. We're all enjoying the spring and everything's starting to ramp up. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow to break down Coyotes Stars. And for now, so long, Stars fans.